Hey everybody, it's me, your host through time and or space, Jay-Z, checking in with you here at the top of the show. I normally don't like to do this, but I wanted to offer a little caveat for what follows. So this episode we were recording with a brand new computer, and we had some audio difficulties with it. We knew about them at the time. We spent a long time trying to solve these issues, and eventually we did solve them, but just after we recorded this. Everybody was in the room. We were all geared up and ready to talk Excalibur with Katherine, and we didn't want to waste that dark age energy that we had generated at that point. So we decided, fuck it, we're going to roll tape. That's what we did, and so this is the result. We are incredibly sorry for the poor sound quality from the Iceland contingent. But as I am your guide through time and or space, let me move you through space. I mean, we're always going through time, but I'm rarely moving you in a spatial sense. But right now, let me put you into my sister's office, my sister and yours, Carolyn Naoroz, because her audio sounds immaculate as ever. She didn't fuck it up the way that we did. So we're just going to listen to this episode as she would hear it from her house. And that's what you're hearing here. So sorry once more. And we fixed it since then. So don't worry. But we know about the issue. Thank you. And please, something. Okay, cue the music. Let's do this thing. You're listening to a Time Machine podcast. Old Movie Time Machine, an adventure through time and or space. Hello everybody and welcome back to Old Movie Time Machine. You know the show. It's the show we're watching old color films made in the old US of A between the years of 1945 and 1965 as windows into the past. What do we do with these windows, guys? Do we wash them? Do we close them? Do we throw them open? Oh, we're throwing them open. Then we're crawling inside. And then when we get to the other side, we have ourselves a poke around at the world beyond in this critical era following the Second World War. And while we're poking around in there, we're going to be asking some critical questions, such as, who are these people? What are their habits? How are they treating each other? What decisions are they making and why? Also, and most critically, what are they wearing? And what do their living rooms look like? And of course, after all of these questions have been asked and answered, we will finish up with the ultimate question on behalf of all of humanity, which is, this movie we just watched. Are we going to keep watching it? Is there anything of value here that we need to hang on to? Or do we just let it drift off on an iceberg like old people? Like... Isn't in some cultures, Katherine?
Like iceberg.
Yeah. They chuck you on an iceberg and they send you off.
They're on an iceberg.
Yeah. Who am I? Great question. I am your actual host through time and or space, Justin Zeppa, joined as ever by my incredible panel of international experts. And also, I have to add, the smartest people I know. To my left, as ever, Katherine Sherlock, welcome back to Old Movie Time Machine.
Hello.
Next to you, as ever, the one and only Shrishma Naik. Shrishma, welcome back to the show.
Hello.
We are glad to have you.
British accent.
That's pretty good. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that the Countess Dowager?
No, this time it was Dame Helen. What's her name? Mirren.
Oh, Dame Helen Morgana
Right.
Mirren.
Mirren.
Yeah, of course. And next to you, to your left, as ever, across the ocean, my sister and yours, Carolyn Naoroz. Hey, sis.
Hello.
Welcome back to the show. And as ever, our beloved Bryndís is still up in D.C. She's behind these closed doors. They keep broadcasting things. Let's tune in just to see how things are going. You know, let's check the news and hear a little bit of this controversial hearing about our Boom Room Museum. Let's just listen in. I will remind you, you are under oath, of course. This is, consider this some kind of Now, you got some kind of expression on your face right. I can't even describe what it is. It looks like disgust.
Yeah. Get to the question.
Yeah, so basically, we are just wondering, where do you get off taking things from America and taking them over to Iceland? I ask you that. Answer the question, Bryndís Reynisdóttir.
Well, do you own the items that we are borrowing?
Now, the items in question, they are from several decades ago, if I'm not mistaken. So, from right. the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, right? Somewhere around there. Y'all are going back. You've somehow developed the power of time travel. That's a whole other congressional panel. We might even open the doors for that one. But for right now, I just really want to focus on you guys taking things. Now, in the past, I don't know. We'll have to consult with the legal documents and procedures and precedents set down as far as old things being taken, because I guess it's really kind of a mind bender, really, because if you're taking them from the past, do they even exist here now in the present? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We have some help from China with that.
Now listen, okay. Now, Bryndís, hold on now. Can I get a little water over here? Scathing. Wow. Really intense. I don't know. I hope she's doing okay up there.
We should maybe consider not doing it in America and build it.
Shrishma, this is the exact point I was going to make, was that nobody ever said we're putting it in the United States of America.
Right.
We do. Most of us are in Reykjavik, right. in Iceland.
But the Smithsonian obviously has it out for us. They think
Clearly.
that we're going to be new competition.
You think this is a lot
their
of
collection.
Backroom museum politics,
Museum politics.
Yeah. I think you might be onto something there. And I think we're being railroaded. Guys, it's a very special episode today because, as referenced last week, we are not actually traveling to our normal era. I did that whole intro. It turns out it's a bunch of bullshit for this episode, because this week is a very special week, and it is what we like to call Catherine's Choice. Katherine Sherlock, please tell us the title of the movie you have chosen for us to talk about today.
Okay, so this week we will be reviewing Excalibur.
1981, directed by John Boorman. Mm-hmm. I don't know who that is. Again, not a movie show, but a time travel show. And we're traveling back to, my notes say here, the Dark Ages.
It is indeed.
A land divided without a king.
The Dark Ages of 1981.
1981.
Well, not being funny, they really were, right?
81.
Kind of swampy back then.
Great year. Oh, yeah. Great year for births of pasty white dudes. Really good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, pasty white dude podcaster hosts Time Enter Space. 81. It's a good one. Yep, it's the end of Gen X, the beginning of the millennials. I'm a bridge, and this is what we do on this program. What do?
We build bridges.
Stretchy boom. Let's talk one-line reviews. Katherine, do you have a one-line review for Excalibur?
I honestly don't know how to sum this up in one line. I really don't.
You have the next 2.5 hours to tell us everything.
Yeah. There's just so much in this. So I don't know. Basically, it's an Arthurian tale in 2 parts, I believe. Visually stunning, epic in scope, but it's also very theatre. The cream of British actors.
Oh, indeed.
At the time,
indeed.
I believe.
Who had no film experience.
No, which is why I think this whole kind of theatre kind of thing came through. It felt like some kind of chaotic stage play that just happened to be filmed. And I'm totally there for that.
I love it. You're absolutely right. We're talking Patrick Stewart, Karen Hines. We're talking Liam Neeson, baby Liam Neeson. Dame.
Did he have his teeth fixed after this?
Gabriel Byrne.
I think he might have, but he still looked old, though.
He did. He looked not as babyish as I had anticipated. No. We're going to get to it. Shrishma, do you have a one-line review of Excalibur? Listen, you watched the movie this week?
I did watch the movie
this week. That's all I can really ask. Except the other stuff that I asked for, but...
So here we go. All the adaptations of King Arthur's legend, Excalibur, Merlin... This movie is not my favorite.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Teaser.
Right.
Now, do I dare ask you which one is your favorite?
You could,
Well,
if you wanted to.
hey, Shrishma, which is your favorite adaptation of Arthurian legend?
The cartoon version,
The
the
one-
Sword and Stone.
The Sword and the Stone with warts.
Yeah,
And
not so many boobies in that. I'm still sticking with this one.
Yeah. A distinct lack of tatas in the animated one.
I was okay with. I could have.
You're cool with it. You'd
done,
rather have
the tata-less songs.
talking owl,
right?
who berates you is what you
yes.
prefer. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Carolyn, do you have a one-line review for Excalibur?
Yes. As I have found with other versions of the Arthurian legend, this is simultaneously overly grand and somewhat goofy, all in one swipe.
I'd say that's accurate, right?
Yep.
I think that's
it is definitely overblown. Yeah, kind of like that.
well, that's part of it, isn't it?
I think so.
This is primal. This is primal storytelling. We're getting this is the roots of a lot of saga type tales that we would see in the future.
Yeah.
My one-line review is that this is the best Arthurian movie this side of Monty Python.
Well, hello. I believe this must have, but Monty Python must have been after this.
No. That was late 70s. I want to say 78.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So the search for
Yeah,
the Holy Grail.
I'm pretty sure. Let's verify.
Because there was so many. So did this reference Monty Python with the
a little bit
limb chopping?
Yes, a lot of it actually looked like outtakes from that particular.
That is okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Merely a flesh wound.
Well, I
Holy
am
Grail.
flabbergasted and astounded.
Python.
I've actually watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
You have seen it, okay?
I have seen it.
Excuse me, 1975. Oh, so it's definitely part of the fabric of the culture. At this
Wow. Okay. They were definitely nodding to that.
Wow, for sure.
I like it even more.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we
that's
couldn't
timeless.
have had Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves without
Yes,
this
that's true.
movie
Carolyn,
first.
I'm so glad you brought it up because that's what I was thinking last night of as I'm watching this movie. And I'm just going to put it out there. I really love this movie. I'd never seen it before. So, Catherine, thank you so much for introducing it to us.
Wow.
Because, Carolyn, you will recall I was of a certain age, 9-10 years old, and I was living this lifestyle in my mind and in my basement.
You thought you were a knight?
Yep.
Yeah, I was really into it because of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, starring Kevin Costner and Alan Rickman, Morgan Freeman. Also co-stars Michael Wincott, who you would know as the guy who talks like this. You would know him maybe from Charlie Sheen's. Yeah, Guy of Gisborne. Charlie Sheen's The Three Musketeers.
I know who you mean, yes.
Or also
and he is
The
so
Crow.
nice. He's like a boy from Brooklyn that was like, yeah, I can ride a horse.
And he just so happens to have the most incredible that's the idea. You can still doing outlaws, eh, Lady Marion?
I mean, I think he's just a
I'm
major
so
smoker.
Michael Wincott. Hey, Michael Wincott, if you're out there and you happen to be listening to Old Movie Time Machine, write us at partyline@oldmovietimemachine.com. We would love to have you on and we'll give you a list of things that you can say in that voice. And we would appreciate it. Starting with Catherine's voicemail. Right?
Absolutely.
You reached the voicemail of Katherine Sherlock.
Just expected this to happen.
Yeah, who's to know, right?
Yeah.
I definitely made sure to tell him how much I loved Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Did you meet Michael Wincott?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
He was a regular.
Stop the program. Stop the entire fucking program. What are you talking about?
You remember that job that I had in Los Angeles?
I recall
that I can't
you worked at
because of the thing.
You worked at a very popular
because the things I had to sign.
establishment.
Right.
Yes.
He was one of my regs.
Oh, really?
He was like, yeah, he was there all the time having lunch. And I mean, like the first time I met him, I was like, I just need to tell you that like Guy of Gisborne is like lives high in my heart.
How did he take it?
That was awesome. He was like, oh, that's so sweet. And then he told me that he was like some young kid from wherever he's from, Brooklyn, Queens, I don't know, and did not know how to ride a horse and totally lied in his audition and said he knew how to ride a horse.
Wow. Carolyn, I mean, I have always enjoyed you as a very close relative, but I appreciate you even more now somehow. You know how deeply ingrained Michael Wincott is into the fabric of our childhood.
Oh, I know. Believe me. I was like, you have to understand. You're like a practical god in my in my childhood.
Guys, on that note, Excalibur.
Okay. Back to the other
Dark
hotties, 'cause
Ages.
there are hottie women and hottie men in this movie.
Oh.
We get butt cheek in this movie. Big time. We get side boob. We get major butt cheek. It is hot and sexy, you all. So
I felt like it was still like dirty 70s going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it definitely did feel like that to me.
It really did. Yeah. It was a little glossier than the 70s. Like the 80s had come and sort of, I don't know. I thought this was a very pristine looking movie.
Definitely.
I thought it's beautifully framed.
Yeah.
The colors
How much
are
cocaine
outstanding.
do you think they were doing
Just
during
by the
this movie?
barrel.
Yeah, and the horses too. I think were also on the business.
Just frothing at the mouth.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about it. Let's get into Excalibur. This is an Orion Pictures film. We open with the Orion logo. That just does something.
Sorry, business.
We're opening with space right out the gate. I love it. I think Orion doesn't exist anymore, or maybe it exists in like a totally different form. But back in the day, an Orion picture was nearly a guarantee of quality that you were going to have a great time. So we enter, the title card, The Dark Ages, A Land Divided Without a King. And we open with just loads of knights and Merlin creeping through smoke, doing battle. It is it's very Python, isn't it? It's a little Python.
Definitely.
Yeah. So he watches unflinchingly as a knight is impaled by a flaming spear. Merlin doesn't get fazed by much. Merlin is out there. He is basically, they refer to him as a god, right?
Almost, yeah.
Sort of like
He has been
sub-god.
Yeah, he's been walking. He's a necromancer. He's been walking the earth for some time.
Yes.
He's probably seen it all.
He certainly has, because he has the sight, right? Mm-hmm. He has the sight, and he also, it's not, as with many skills, he has a natural gift, but he has to work at it a little bit. So and later we see him teaching Morgana, look, there are these spells and there are these ingredients. You want to do it like this. And so he has had to cultivate his skills to be as powerful as he is, but powerful he certainly is. Any thoughts on Merlin and his shiny cap, by the way? He's wearing a shiny helm.
Very shiny.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, he's extremely dry and extremely funny all at the same time.
Yes, he has these moments where he's observing. He's obviously, he thinks he's above the goings on of man, right? Mm-hmm. He's not really too interested, and yet he's still doing a lot of work for them. So there's a trade-off.
Something there is. Yeah, he's working towards an outcome for man.
Yes, and he has
peace.
He has seen some kind of prophecy, or he's had a prophecy that shows that things are going to play out in a certain way. He tends to be right. I don't think he's wrong. Like, there are things that he doesn't see, but it's not that he's wrong about anything. Things go to pass as anticipated. So he is out there, and one of the primary knights that he is observing is Uther Pendragon.
Yeah.
Is that how we pronounce it? Because
Uther Pendragon.
Okay, because I've also heard it as Pendragon, but that was in a Roger Corman movie, so it's not.
Please no.
Okay.
Please don't ever say that again.
He wants sacred sword. He demands the sword.
Yeah, I mean, Merlin thinks he is the one. He is the one to unite the peoples of Britain.
Yes.
Bring peace to the land, become one with the land, and so on.
Right. So this is the start of this tale that we're telling about, yes, the king and the land are the same thing. This is the primary theme. Mm-hmm. Without the king, the land falls apart. Vice versa. But you can't be the king without the sword of kings, and that is a sacred sword that is only given to certain people. So this is what Uther wants. He demands it. Merlin's like, we're going to get to it. And Uther says something along the lines of, Hawk is for lovers! Something like that. A great line. We will be using that as an audio drop at some point.
Excellent.
Hawk is for lovers. How are you, Shrishma? Yeah. Now, in the past, you have struggled with some of the films that we have watched. Right. Struggled to a point where you actually haven't watched said film. Right. That's the last time I'll bring it up, I promise. Sorry.
Once.
More than once.
No.
Yeah, well, you skipped the last half hour.
I mean, that's mostly. I probably skipped the half hour of all of that.
Oh, okay.
Just to be fair.
That should just be the normal standard. Okay. My mistake. But how does this era feel to you of swords and knights in armor and things like that? Were you a Prince of Thieves fan?
No, I can dig it. I love like the whole Lord of the Rings and then Game of Thrones. So
Thrones are okay. Sure.
So I mean, this kind of fits into that genre. I definitely know about the legend of King Arthur, so I've watched like different versions of it that have been like made.
Sword of the Stone,
right? And then like I think there've been like more movies that have been made since then, like around this story in some way or the other.
There was a whole Merlin series on the Sci-Fi channel.
And
Sam Neill.
There was one maybe with Sean Connery.
Yes.
First Night
with Richard Gere.
Yeah.
And Julia Ormond.
And there was one with Keira Knightley.
Yes.
As
I
well,
might not have watched that.
Which I saw in the theater, and I remember it's like almost 3 hours long. I remember almost nothing about it other than Keira Knightley.
Right.
There she is.
So
isn't there one that's more focused on Morgana?
Yeah, probably. Like I feel like
She's
there's
a
been
compelling
so
character.
many variations of it.
Yeah.
Over the years. So this was good. Like I watched it and I enjoyed it. I just I think I've been spoiled with the way like storytelling has progressed over the last, since the 80s.
You're used to a different pace, right?
Like a different pace. The action scenes were kind of lame.
Listen, there was far less parking in this movie than in previous movies we've been watching on this program.
And not so many ashtrays.
Zero.
They were just
the whole world's an ashtray.
Around, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
But everyone was smoking.
Actually, I'm not sure there was even a living room, particularly.
No, there was not. There were certainly some banquet halls
Right.
that got a good workout as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then we will come to that. But let's wrap up Uther here because he goes to the quintessential peaceful lake where the Lady of the Lake she thrusts Excalibur to the sky. I have a picture of it here. Look at this. I love that it reflects green light.
So that's the magic.
I love the magic light.
Yeah.
So green is my favorite color. Anything green, I'm going to gravitate towards. This movie's got a lot of green in it. I was into it.
Mm-hmm.
Robin Hood, actually, known to wear a lot of green. Probably
green
why.
Tights?
Yes, in some cases, the Errol Flynn model. Well, and Peter Pan, actually. They're kind of interchangeable.
Yeah.
William Tell, I think, is also known as something of a green-wearing woodsman. Do you know William Tell? He shoots the apple off of his son's head with a bow and arrow. We've talked about this in the past, but
maybe
it's been many years of doing this.
Joan of Arc or something.
Something like that. Those were the days.
Yeah.
Other
we were
versions,
so young.
The Mists of Avalon is what I'm thinking of, the Arthurian legend from the female perspective.
Okay.
Starring like Juliana Margulies and like, I don't know, some other people. One of the, Houstons.
I see. So we have, there it is, beautiful, emerging, plunging into the sky from the Lady of the Lake. And Uther takes it, right? And
he is encouraged to say the words.
And what are the words, Catherine?
I can't remember. But he said something that basically was, I'm king. Here is the sword of power. I'm your rightful king.
Yeah.
And with the battle that had been everybody, this peacetime.
Right.
With the Duke.
So the land is, of course, divided. So we have the Duke of Cornwall, I believe was his name. But he basically says, look, if you agree to follow me as your king,
you can have
from here to the sea is yours.
Right.
Baby, do you like it? And Cornwall's like, done. This is great. And then we go to a medieval feast where we celebrate this newfound peace. So let's talk about this banquet hall, by the way. We referenced it already. As we know, one of my major pet peeves is people ordering food, having food delivered, drinks delivered, and then abandoning the food before it is eaten. It's a total waste, and I do not agree with it. I got to tell you, in almost any medieval set film, these guys are chomping down on their mutton, their legs of meat, their loaves of bread, just sticking it full into their face, ripping great chunks of bread out. And it's a wonderful thing to see. Anyway, he grabs Excalibur. He starts lopping arms off. It gets pretty bloody, gushing blood all over the place. And then he runs off and decides to drive the sword into a stone. Now, why does he do this again, Catherine? This is because if I can't have...
Yeah, basically, he knows he's done for.
He's toasted,
Yeah. He is toast. And yeah, basically, if I cannot have Excalibur, no one will have Excalibur.
Yes.
So he just drives... Yeah.
So this is the...
And then hence the sword in the stone.
Right.
Sword in the stone.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So then we're fast forwarding into time, and word has traveled that, whoever will pull the sword from the stone will be the rightful heir to the throne. And then the land will have a king, and the king will have the land, and they will become one. He probably won't take his armor off, though, when that happens. Hey-o. So we meet Arthur as a young man, and he is a squire to his adopted brother Kay, and he's there with his adopted father, the Duke of Morvern, I believe is the name.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I mean, he has no idea who he is. I mean, he believes he's this man's son, and
Yes.
so on, and he is just the younger son, therefore the squire, and supporting his older brother Kay, who is about to fight for the honor of attempting to pull the sword from the stone.
This is the finale of the popular cartoon that we, of course, grew up with. And I got to tell you, this Kay and Dad are a lot nicer than the cartoon versions. Those guys were dicks.
They were dicks.
They were so mean.
They were quite mean to Arthur in the movie. Like, I think they
called him Wart.
Yeah. Yes.
They were very mean.
I think the whole point of the cartoon was that it was really about the relationship between Arthur and Merlin, and Arthur becoming Arthur, and
finding
it out.
This is where this is very obviously like, well, hey, he's an adult now. Let's pull this goddamn sword from the stone and get on with the rest of the movie.
Yes, I like the fact that we're starting with this rather than finishing with it. And I kind of like the relationship that he has with his adopted family. They seem like decent people. Like when he forgets the sword, it's a big fucking deal in the cartoon where they're just like, well, Kay's a real dick about it. Dad's a real dick about it. And he panics, and that's how he draws the sword from the stone. In this case, it's a much gentler, like, well, go get it, dummy. We'll be here. Don't worry about it, but just go get it. And he immediately clocks that it is stolen, and he goes back, and he just happens to pass by the sword in the stone. Doesn't seem to know too much about it. And he draws it with ease and brings it back. And he's like, here, you can have Excalibur. Use that one. And they're just like, fucking Excalibur.
You did it.
I'm sorry. This is crazy. And then we get a whole back and forth where they're like, is it really Excalibur? Let's go back to the stone. He has to put it back into the stone. And then they try to take it out.
Because, they were actually by the stone. Like, so Kay and his dad kind of ended up sort of there just after.
Yes. The tournament was right
They couldn't.
by.
And, and then I think his dad asks Kay, did you draw the sword? And Kay said, yes. And then he was like, oh, no, because he's a good man. He's a proper, he's good knight material.
Yes, he is. He certainly is.
And then the father actually says, put it back. Like, what have you done?
Yes. We can't be seen with this. This is terrible news.
But then other people kind of see that it's been drawn. So then, he has to put it back. Somebody else has to try it.
Well, who's that somebody else, Catherine? Let's talk about the captain of all of our hearts, Jean-Luc Picard.
I was
that's him.
I was telling Catherine that there was a point in the movie where I recognized a very familiar, shaped head.
Yeah.
And I was like, my head looks familiar.
And very smooth.
I know that. It's paint anywhere.
And then later, as I Googled the cast, I was like, wait a minute. I knew it was his head.
We get a very touching scene between him and his adopted family where he's like, look, I was your son before I was your king. Right. He really easily slips into king mode. Like as soon as he has the sword and he's like, well, guess I'm king. Anyway, before I was your king, though, and I'm pretty awesome, clearly. I drew the sword from the stone. I was your son, and I appreciate you, so please come with me. Something along those lines. Now, not everybody is very happy about this, of course. There are dissenters who will refuse to believe that he is the chosen king for the land. And so he has to do battle with them, right? Mm-hmm. So Picard's castle is under siege by the people the dissenters, yes. Yeah. And then Arthur has to swoop in and defeat them. He's climbing ladders. He's single-handedly defeating this attacking army to save Picard's. He ends up. This is where Guinevere is Picard's daughter, right?
Yes,
I like that we're just calling him Picard. His real name is something entirely different. But
Leander Grass or something.
Yes,
like that.
yes. But he's
Professor X.
For the sake of the program, he's Picard, right?
He is
we just know him.
Yeah.
Oh, Captain, my captain. So he shows up. He's kicking all kinds of ass outside of Picard's castle, and he just does it, and he saves the day. And this culminates in him climbing up to the battlements and then jumping off the top of the battlements, WWE, wrestling style, and clotheslining his enemy off of his horse. Yes,
yeah,
and basically demands that he yield. But this guy, Urians, that's his name? Yes. He says, I will not yield to a squire. Fuck no. And Arthur, to his credit, is like, you know what? You're right. You shouldn't yield to a squire. You will make me a knight. And then as a knight, I can be your king. And we get this brief moment of hesitancy where
he hands over Excalibur.
Yes, exactly.
And so Urians is
Bold
holding like the sword of power, just like
and it's vibrating in his hands. Yes.
Yeah, and like Arthur is just kneeling in front of him, just like
in the moat. We get a lot of moat action in this movie, and so he's sort of like up to his chest in water, totally exposed, totally vulnerable.
It's a real moment of leadership because he's saying, I can't lead you unless you accept me as one of you.
Mm-hmm. Right. And to his credit, Urians does. And he does knight him and then hands back Excalibur and acknowledges him as his king.
Yeah, because it was something along the lines of the courage that runs in your veins can only be from Uther Pendragon.
Yes.
Its source is so strong or something.
Yes, exactly. And it's very emotional. I found it to be a very moving scene.
Yes, was.
Dude, your balls are so big, they must be Uther Pendragons.
Totally.
That was not the moving part then.
that came later.
Hello, everybody. Jay-Z here, checking in the middle of the show. I know we got some great momentum. I'd like to arrest that momentum for a moment to direct your attention to our show notes, where you will find a link to our Patreon page. It rarely gets a spotlight here in the middle of the show like this, but we did want to make you aware of it. It's called the Boom Room, and it is extraordinary, to put it mildly. So what you can do is you go to the Patreon link that's in the show notes, you sign up, and for a lousy $2 American a month, you get more than double the content. That's right, you heard me correctly. All of these shows that you're listening on this free feed right now, we actually talked about these movies for twice as long, sometimes even longer. I mean, these usually about an hour, these episodes here. The long cut, guys, I mean, we're looking at 2 hours, 2.5 hours, close to 3. I don't think we've hit it yet, but we're very near to it. So just sign up today. It's $2 a month. It's not a big deal. And we will thank you if and when you do, just as I will right now. Just a little sneak preview of a thank you. Here it goes. Thank you. And now back to the show. Arthur at this point is a shell of his former kingly self. He's just wasting away. He's just rotting away. Oh, Mordred approaches him at this point, right?
Yeah. Basically, Morgana sends him to Mordred to meet his father for the first time.
And Mordred wants the kingdom. He's like, I'm here to take over.
To claim what is mine, what is my right.
Right. If she again goes back to the blood of the kings and all this stuff. Yeah. And Arthur's like, I have no land to give you.
I have nothing to give you but love.
Love. That's it. Which is a beautiful, sad sentiment.
Yeah. Mordred's like, the last thing I want.
Right. He's a little bitch, so he rejects this. And he intends to use force. What's his name? Urians is stabbed.
Yep, something like that.
And he begs Percival to continue the quest. And at this point, we get some hot peasant action. The peasants, again, pissed off about all of this. And they beat Percival up pretty badly.
Yeah.
They really attack this guy and then chuck him into the river, right?
Because and also they're egged on by Lancelot, who was basically turned into this madman prophet.
That's right.
Look, there's a knight.
Yes.
They made themselves gods.
And he is full crazy mode, crazy beard mode. He is he himself is aged and has lost his luster for sure. And they chuck him into this river. And at this point, we get a beautiful symbolic scene of Percival shedding his armor, and he just piece by piece removes his former encasing.
It was like, I don't know, it was like his pride, all of those. He was down to the absolute last.
Yeah.
His true self, that there's no falsehood around him anymore. And that's it seems like that's the state you have to be in to find this, to be worthy of the Grail.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Strip away all the trappings of
yes. Of power and ego and whatever. Yeah.
And at this point he discovers the true Grail. And the secret. Who does the Grail serve, Catherine?
Arthur, the king.
Because?
The king and the land are one.
One. And so Percival takes the Grail, takes it to Arthur.
It's not Mary Magdalene? Am I confusing my movie? Just kidding.
That's right.
Just kidding.
That's right. Oh boy, we could get deep into the weeds about Grail lore and Grail quest. Maybe that's a different show we should be doing as well.
Absolutely.
I would love to talk for hours. So Arthur drinks and his soul is replenished. I'll tell you what, it's a real the bitch is back, baby type of moment. And he's like, all right, let's get the gang back together. Summon my knights. Let's TC some B out here. Okay, guys? I feel good. Feel better than I have in years.
I gotta go forgive some people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Gotta make some peace.
We gotta hit the countryside. Tonight we ride. And they ride out to the nunnery where Guinevere has hidden herself away, right? And he forgives her infidelity with his best man.
And he asked her forgiveness of him.
I feel like he was waiting for it and she didn't give it to him. And he was like, well, you could forgive me too if you wanted to. And it turns out that this is another shockingly beautiful scene. And I'm not really into Arthur in this film. Like he's just sort of he's a real nothing burger to me as far as like he heavy as the head and all that crap, right? But like he's sort of like
sliced white bread.
Yeah, he's just like zero charisma, right? There's not a whole lot to him, and his knights seem to have more passions and are more interesting as characters, that you have more emotional aspects you can latch onto. And he's this symbol, right? He's the land and all this.
It's true that you always have more fun as a bridesmaid than you do as a bride.
Exactly.
And this would be the example of.
And he's in the hot seat, so I get it. So he has to sort of remove himself from party time. He can't go out for drinks with the guys all the time because he is the king and he is the land and all this. But he has a very touching scene with Guinevere where he talks about the weight of his role and how he must serve as a symbol that preserves the good times when the kingdom was united and he and the land were one and everything was thriving and glorious, because he must preserve this essence for the future. So he really serves the future.
He becomes the stuff of legend.
Yes.
He knows he's basically inspiration for the future.
Yes. And because as long as this remains in man's memory, then there's a chance that this can happen again. Mm-hmm. And it's
a goal to strive for.
Yes.
The round table.
But then he talks about how he sometimes wishes that he could just be a man and then she could be his wife. And
yeah, I think basically it's when it's done, is almost what he's saying.
Yeah,
that,
right.
Like when he can lay all this responsibility down, that she will come to him and
they could just be together.
Him. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's a touching scene. I'm getting emotional talking about it. It's weird.
But did you see how she was just a bit like dead behind the eyes at that?
Yeah, well, she has been living in the nunnery.
No, yeah, I know, but it was like she was trying to yeah, I'd be there, but damn well she wasn't turning up.
Yeah, and this is the whole. So to sort of get herself out of that situation, that tangled web, she's like, oh, by the way, remember when you drove Excalibur between me and my naked lover's forms? I kept it. I have it. Mm-hmm. You are the king. You clearly got your groove back. I must return the Sword of Kings to you. And at that point, Arthur goes to visit Stonehenge and wishes that Merlin was there. And Merlin,
I think it is a henge. It's not Stonehenge.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Yes, a henge of triptych stones. We all see the symbol as mystical and everything. So this is where he goes to commune with Mr. Mystical himself, Merlin.
He ends up in Outlander.
Well, this is it, because Merlin comes back. So he calls him back.
Yeah.
So he's like, Merlin, where are you? And he bangs on the stones.
Right.
And then Merlin kind of like comes.
Merlin's still in the basement.
He's still locked in the basement, encased in green stone.
Yeah.
But he does have
Is that
power.
how the stones work? You're supposed to bang on them?
That's what we're doing it wrong.
So. Ask for someone.
We keep pouring animal blood.
Hi, hello, anybody there?
Hello, Jamie.
And
get your ass out of that stone, man.
Yeah.
It seems like the power that Merlin has now is not in the physical world; it's within dreams. And he has been brought back, and he's been brought back by Arthur's love.
Yes, he does a sort of, if you will, fans of Star Wars, he force projects himself, a la Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. He sort of beams himself, his image over to Arthur for a minute. And then he goes to Sexy Morgana.
In their encampment.
Yes, and he taunts her lack of dragon's mist powers. He riles us up of like, well, I used to do the dragon's mist. Like,
but I hear you're so much better than me.
Yeah. Can you summon the dragon's mist? Let's get a load of that. Let's see that. And she takes on the challenge, and to her credit, she does produce the dragon's mist. But this fucks over Mordred's plans because he's like, "Where's this mist coming from? I did not make room in my calculations." Yeah. Thank you.
I didn't order the mist. Yeah. What the hell,
Mom? Mom, there's mist.
Meatloaf.
Popular music sensation Meatloaf?
I would do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Yeah. Mom, I want a meatloaf, and I want you to get rid of the mist, the dragon's mist.
I didn't calculate for mist, Mom. You're fucking with my plans.
Merlin, meanwhile, is loving it. And we haven't really focused enough on Merlin's sort of asides of like, oh, yes, that's very good. Yeah. It's like,
it's good, yeah.
He's been real turned on by all of this.
No. He knows. Really seems he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He knows he's fucking with it, and he like chuckles out like, "Oh, you're doing amazing things here, but beware.
Yeah.
The dragon's mist can have unfortunate side effects."
Yes. Cut to old Morgana.
Yeah, what dragon's mist is he talking about?
Well,
actual.
I mean, and she is smoked like an old piece of ham.
Well, the thing is, she's been using magic to keep her youth.
Right. Which he's onto. He's like, I've seen.
He's like, oh, you're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Something's
so
up here.
beautiful. Yeah. So he knows. Yeah.
Don't bullshit a bullshitter. All right. I do magic too. I taught you that magic.
Basically, the charm of making undoes whatever she's been doing to herself to keep beautiful. It undoes that.
Yeah. And it does. And she becomes a crone. As all witches must.
It also is what happens when you get too much plastic surgery and then one day you wake up and you're like 70 or 75 and you're like, oh God, I look hideous.
I am a crone, as I knew I would be.
There's no amount of facelifts after a certain point. People.
Listen, life as a crone is hard. It's tough to be ugly in the world, as proven by her son strangling her to death. He can't deal with it. He's like, no, Mom.
Well, basically, she's not filling out that like metal breastplate, frankly.
Well, right. So he is done with
damn
her.
Fine.
Yeah, was there something going on between them?
She seems like an incestuous woman.
I feel like she'd be into it.
It's kind of no boundaries. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah.
She's a little Joe Costa-like.
Totally speculative. But, she did lay a bunch of charms on him, a bunch of free charms. I don't know. But he's
ungrateful, let's face it.
Well, that's true. He's a little bitch is what he is, Catherine. Sort of little of a bitch. Anyway, the battle happens as we knew it would. And Lancelot does end up returning. He looks fucking rough. But he dies. He does battle. Then he dies upon learning that the queen is the queen again. Is still the queen, which she's not. Guinevere's.
He tells a white lie.
Yeah, just to let him go. Find peace, Harry Lancelot. And then, so then Mordred rolls in and he's ready to do battle with Daddy. And
Daddy
again,
issues.
total daddy issues. We've all been there. And I give this movie a lot of credit here because in a modern movie, this is the Marvel effect. This battle goes on for 25 minutes and it's a bunch of magic and you go numb to it, but this is over quickly.
Yeah.
And Dad just takes care of business. They
literally just get totally, they get down to it.
And they stab each other, right? It's mutual stabbing.
Yeah. Mordred stabs Arthur.
Yes.
And then Arthur kind of pulls that in.
Right.
Then takes out
Which
Excalibur.
is a great move, yeah.
And
it's good. All before this blood red sun. I mean, it's awesome. The colors are great. This movie is beautifully shot. I know we mentioned this like 90 hours ago when we started the show, but just a reminder, it's a beautifully constructed film visually. It's fantastic. So at this point, Arthur he's running out of time and he knows this. So he takes Excalibur and he summons Percival and he says, here, I need you to take this, find a peaceful body of water, some calm waters, chuck it in. And then, we'll be done with this. I can go, come back, let me know what's up. And so Percival goes he finds some water, but he just can't bring himself to release Excalibur back into the wild.
Sword of power.
Yeah. So again, yes, and we've seen the sword create a lot of odd behavior in people in the past.
Mainly it unites.
Right. And it has its reasons. It has like a purpose. And so he doesn't throw it in, but he returns to Arthur and Arthur's like, oh yeah, so you threw it in? He's like, oh yeah, I threw it in. And he's like, great. What'd you see when you threw it in? What happened? It's like, yeah, I didn't throw it in, actually. We need a king. The country needs a king. We have to have this sword of power, sword of gods. And Arthur's like, look, as long as Excalibur is out there, then that means that a new king can come and claim Excalibur. There will be a new king one day. So please, I need you to do this for me. And so Percival goes back and he does release the sword back through the air. It arcs in slow motion through the air. And then we see the Lady of the Lake's hand emerge, grab it in spectacular fashion again in front of that blood red sun.
Good catch.
It's a great catch. That is a perfectly vertical sword she is holding up, reflecting blood red light. And then it just plunges back into the water. Percival returns to tell Arthur that he did the thing that was requested of him by his king, only to find that Arthur has passed away and is being sailed off into the mists across the waters to legend.
It's kind of a bit Viking-esque, I thought.
It is, yes, it is.
Just not on fire.
I believe we made reference to icebergs, people doing this on icebergs 90 hours ago.
I've been told this is how David wants to go, is that he wants
on an iceberg.
A pyre.
Floating pyre.
And the flaming arrow.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, send you off to Valhalla. All right.
It's a good way to go. It's a great way to go. And thus ends Excalibur. What a ride.
Done.
Catherine, from me, personally, thank you so much for introducing me to this film.
I cannot believe you've not seen it.
I can't either.
Before. I mean, this is totally up your alley.
I just wish that I had seen it when I was a boy because it would have just been such another.
How would this have changed your life?
Well, I was thinking about this, and there could have been a real pivot towards Renaissance festivals.
Wow,
is what I was suspecting, and which made me think. Katherine Sherlock, you have been known in the past to take a turn for the Dickensian.
Absolutely.
Do you ever Renfest?
For what now?
Have you ever done a Renfest?
What's that then?
Renaissance festival.
Renaissance.
Are you familiar with this concept?
No.
It's just like a medieval. Okay, so in
America,
in the U.S.,
I
can speak to. I have been to one as an adult. In Michigan, they have this area outside of a small town. Where they have these medieval buildings. It's a whole complex of medievalness. And you can go there and they have people in the summertime who dress up as the blacksmith and all this.
It's like a cosplay before cosplay.
Yeah. And you just go there. You can buy your turkey leg and walk around like you're Henry VIII and all this. And you read. And
when I was like 18, 19, something like that, I went to Ibiza and they had a castle.
Okay.
And they had jousting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Are you familiar with the concept of Medieval Times, the restaurant chain?
No.
Okay. In the United States of America, there is a castle-shaped restaurant called Medieval Times.
What?
That actually was in Toronto.
You go into and I've been
to Toronto. How did I not see this?
Yeah, we gotta go. Christmas.
Yeah,
Medieval time.
I've been to one.
Okay.
once.
Where was yours?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. I went to one in Chicago, Illinois. And you go into a grand hall. It's a massive room that has room for jousting, and you're sitting in the round, and they bring you Cornish game hens and big pewter mugs of whatever, your Coca-Cola.
Basically, it sounds like exactly the same
And they joust.
setup
okay.
as this thing in Ibiza.
You are seated
Actually,
in...
it wasn't Ibiza. It was Tenerife. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got that wrong.
Wow.
Never
very
mind.
Romantic place for medieval times. But you go and you're seated in a section that is dedicated to a particular knight. You're on Team
You
Blue Knight
cheer
or
for
Red
that
Knight. Yeah,
knight,
Green
yes.
Knight always got it because he was kind of evil, and so we gave Green Knight a bunch of shit. We were 14 years old.
But green's your favorite color.
I know. It doesn't make any sense.
Slytherin.
But I do remember. Well, yeah. I do remember the Green Knight actually breaking character briefly and turning to us to be like, guys, it's just a show. Which is
wow, you really must have been giving him some shit.
14-year-old boys? Yeah. And then you go after you eat your fabulous feast. And then afterwards, you can get your picture taken with the king or the knight of your choice. Okay.
That's some. I
haven't so much.
No.
Oh. Well, if you can dig it up, maybe we'll put it on the Instagram. Maybe.
Look.
I don't know where mine is. I don't know if it still exists. Carolyn, did you ever do a Medieval Times in person?
I actually never did in person.
All right, we got to do this. Let's talk about the final question. Shrishma is... I give you a lot of credit. You not only watched the movie, you stayed awake for the entire recording.
We need our yes or no, and we need to take some shit
artifact.
to the
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
we got to tick these boxes here. So here we go. Katherine Sherlock.
Yes.
1981.
Yeah.
John Boorman's
Yes.
Excalibur. Do we keep watching this?
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Awesome film. Yes.
Shrishma Naik. Excalibur. We keep watching it?
Considering that there's so many versions of this story out there,
Mm-hmm.
I have to say no. Just
You were
because
partial to the
I
cartoon.
enjoy like the other versions of it.
Okay, fair enough. I think that's a totally valid reason. But yes, many interpretations.
Right.
Carolyn Naoroz, do we keep watching Excalibur?
I'm going to go with a yes because I definitely feel like I need to watch it again. I also think, to agree with you, Justin, that if this was something I had seen before or was part of our childhood canon of films, that I would be like, oh, duh, of course.
Yeah.
I don't know how we... I'm guessing no one in our family, this was not on their radar.
Yeah, or it probably wasn't on cable a whole lot. I mean, I was watching all of cable in the early 1990s. So, and I never saw this. So somehow it was missed. It's crazy.
Yeah. But I definitely will probably watch it again. And I mean, I followed that film up with immediately watching the making of.
I'm going to do the same thing.
I would like to see that as well.
I'm going to watch it too.
Honestly, I watch this at least once a year. And
so this is a standard for you.
Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And
I mean, the music's amazing. Everything. It's just the whole thing is just epic.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
it's Carmina Burana. It's Wagner.
We're barely scratching the surface with this 3-hour convo. I mean, there's so much to love about this. It's obviously okay. I've been talking about this the entire show, but I love this movie. This is great. I will definitely watch it again, and I will recommend it to kids of that age, especially who are into that kind of thing. I know they're still out there. So this is it's a yes for me, dog. Let's do it. And then from there, we have to talk about what we're talking about next week, you guys. So what are we talking about? Next week's film, Shrishma, I'm glad you asked. We are watching 1956's. We're starting a new sort of mini arc here. We're going to talk about people a little bit. We've talked about the times. We've talked about society. We've talked about the city, the suburbs. We've talked about crime. We've talked about summer vacation things. We spent a lot of time on summer vacation. Now we're going to talk about the people. So we're going to start with women, then we're going to talk about the men, and then we're going to talk about the kids. So next week is the women. 1956. It's a film called Hilda Crane. Twice divorced, Hilda Crane, feeling that she's run out of chances, returns to her mother's house in her small hometown and tries to decide what to do next while still hoping to hold on to her independence. That proves to be a challenge. Directed by Philip Dunn and starring Gene Simmons. I got to assume it's a different spelling from the guy from Kiss. That would be really funny, though. Hello, it's me, Hilda Crane. Gene Simmons.
Just trying to hold on to my independence.
And also Guy Madison and Jean-Pierre Roman. I don't know who those people are, but we are going to find out next week. And until next time, please look us up. Party line at oldmovietimemachine.com. Also, hey, join us, follow us on the Facebook and the Instagram. Please, we need to get these numbers up. We know you're out there. We know you're listening. Follow us on that stuff. It helps us. It helps other people find the show. This makes life better for you. You get better content, all this. It's a whole chain of shit. I'm not going to explain it. It's the internet, right?
Reach out on our social media so we can give you a shout out.
Yeah. Say hi to us and we will say hi back. It's pretty much a guarantee. So there it is. That's the end. I will do my weird separate microphone thing right now. Thank you so much, past me. It is present me. Talking into that different microphone in the editing booth. Here I am, as promised. Boy, that was a stellar episode, right? I mean, sound issues aside, I think we really got to the bottom of Excalibur. If you agree with us, please reach out to our email. Just send us a message, partyline@oldmovietimemachine.com. Let us know what you think about Excalibur. Did you grow up with this? Have you ever been to a medieval times restaurant? Do you Renfest? Please let us know. We are eager to hear. And as for next week, we are talking about Hilda Crane. I know last week I said we were talking Hilda Crane. I forgot about the Excalibur episode. I don't know why I jumped the gun. This was an awesome movie, and I should have told you last time. But here's the deal. Hilda Crane, 1956. We already talked about it before. We're looking at the ladies of the era, women of the era, and the lives that they're living. This one, you're going to have to go to either Roku or get yourself a lovely, perfectly restored Blu-ray and have a watch of Hilda Crane. So give that a look and then join us next Wednesday. And until then, this has been Old Movie Time Machine.